Recap and explanation of Outlander Season 8 Episode 5, Jamie strikes a deal with an unlikely devil. Do you recall Benjamin Cleveland, the anti-Tory vigilante who attempted to enlist Jamie in his cause during a few episodes of Outlander? He plays a significant role in this week's adventure, in which Jamie fights to the death while dodging Loyalist forces on his own territory. However, Jamie, who is undoubtedly a patriot, detested Cleveland and everything he represented. Isn't that right? Fraser wouldn't collaborate with a man who would hang first and ask questions later, would he? In the meantime, Brianna experiences what her life might be like without him, and Roger gets a taste of combat. Continue reading to see the best parts of Send for the Devil. As Jamie and Claire see Buck playing with the children at the start of the hour, she asks, "Did you tell him that we killed his father?" "No," Jamie says, "nor did I tell him that you killed his mother." Side note, those cave scenes were a crazy little side quest, don't you think? Did anyone else forget that detail? Claire nods, nevertheless. Good, she replies. Let's keep that to ourselves, shall we? Buck prompts the children to flee to the home for protection when he hears a commotion in the woods shortly after. However, when he and Jamie recognize Mr. Whitaker, the father of the twins Claire gave birth to earlier this season, they take a step back and issue a warning: Captain Jamie is going to be targeted by Cunningham. According to Whitaker, he was recruited to join a Loyalist militia along with some Cherokee he was hunting with. The individual who encouraged them to join the cause promised that Cunningham would soon seize control of the ridge. Oh, and in addition, Cunningham intends to assault and abduct Jamie in order to have him executed, for show. Whitaker provides him with additional information, but the most important thing to know is that Jamie is in grave danger. William has no game in this. William makes a disastrous attempt to flirt with Amaranthus at the Savannah gazebo. He says, "I have developed a particular species of feeling for you," which she criticizes for being a bad statement. He continues by saying that he has been considering getting married so that he can bestow his title on their son. She thinks they don't have to be married to give it a go. "You tiny beetle embroidering minx, Amaranthus." He puts his hand on her knee, slides it beneath her skirts, and after a few kisses, he has her writhing on his lap, which is, to be honest, the most James Fraser-like thing he has ever done. However, you can tell that things will quickly turn messy since William has to be William. In a minute, we'll return to him. From one hidden Fraser child to another. Brianna works on the portrait that Lord John commissioned as a diversion from her concerns for Roger, who has yet to return from the colonial colony. She asks William whether he has truly had any time to spend with Jamie while she is painting him. He acknowledges that, other from the time Jamie spent assisting him in trying to save Fanny from that awful redcoat, he truly hasn't. William is shocked to learn that Bree has a very similar background. She didn't realize Jamie was her father until she was 19, didn't meet him until a few years later, and everyone, including Claire, lied to her about it. With tears in his eyes, he wonders, "How did you overcome it?" "I got to know our father," she responds. Roger, in the meantime, receives a sword and a uniform from the Continental Army, and he immediately blends in with the guys he has joined. He puts the letter in his jacket and prays as they leave camp after writing Brianna a letter outlining his reasons for fighting, wondering whether it's because his father felt the same way when he enlisted in the Royal Air Force. As her concern grows, Bree finally tells William that Roger is with the enemy army. She has no idea that Roger is currently tending to a dying soldier whose guts are spilling out of his abdomen and into his fingers. Roger sees one of the regiment's drummer lads fallen at the base of a nearby tree after that man shuffles off this mortal coil. He transports him to the field hospital, where he is treated by none other than Denny. Roger prays with the Quaker doctor as he extracts a bullet from the child's neck. After Denny assures him that the child, whose name we find out is Christoph, will probably be all right, Roger rushes back into the battle and is instantly rendered unconscious by an explosion. He has flashbacks to his childhood during World War II's Blitz as he falls. Brianna is going crazy that night. The fight is over, but Roger is nowhere to be found. She claims she can't wait even if Lord John asks questions on her behalf, and William promises to go with her to the camp at first light. Roger offers prayers for the men who lost their lives in battle the following morning. He rushes to Bree when he spots her in the camp after finishing. She smacks his chest and screams at him for frightening the living daylights out of her after they embrace and kiss. After Roger introduces her to Denny, Roger and Jamie's son meet for the first time when William shows up. William is then startled to see that Ben, his cousin, is still alive and well in the colonial camp. But hold on, why is Gray dressed in an enemy uniform? In 10 seconds, William transforms from happy to angry before punching Amaranthis's spouse. Claire gets ready for blood. Jamie, Claire, and Buck plan when Whitaker departs. They speculate that Cunningham will assault Jamie outside the Masonic Lodge on the ridge. Jamie understands that he will need to stop the armed group that is coming to assist Cunningham because his militia is still in its early stages. He then sends Josiah on an enigmatic assignment after giving him a sealed note. Jamie assures Claire that he has a strategy for handling Cunningham's threat before leaving for the lodge. Plans fail, she says, depressed yet accepting of the peril they face. He reminds her that Joe will accompany him on his covert mission and that his Ardsmere men will support him. And he'll still fight like crazy if things go wrong. Can you really blame Claire for cleaning her surgical instruments and downing a few shots of whiskey before he leaves? When Elspeth Cunningham appears at the door, she is taken aback. Claire informs Elspeth that the Frasers are also aware of what her son has planned. The women pray because they are aware that the men in their lives are trying to harm each other. I'm not sure why Claire doesn't kick her sucklemon face out of there when Elspeth starts babbling on about how Jamie has earned his execution because he is a traitor. My enemy's enemy. At the end of a heated lodge meeting, Jamie sneaks away during the last prayer. He is able to meet up with his troops in the jungle after using the short head start to run and get a rifle that Lizzie had hidden in a hollow tree. MacDub tells his supporters, "Any man in these woods is a traitor to me," reminding them that Jamie and his men shouldn't start killing at whim because Cunningham wants to catch him alive. Then Jamie goes in search of Cunningham, who attacks Jamie with the vigor and rage of a madman because he is so certain that he won't pass away until the time his son foretold, which is in 5 years. In the end, Cunningham claims to have had second thoughts and intends to give Jamie to the British dead rather than alive. Buck shoots Cunningham from behind just as Big Red appears to be out of the game. When Claire's husband arrives home, he is hurt but not as badly as Cunningham, who is lying on her table with a low back wound that prevents him from moving his legs. Claire is relieved. After taking the ball away, Claire tends to Jamie, who acknowledges that he almost died during the altercation. Everyone then grabs a gun and prepares for an attack when they hear hoofbeats. Unfortunately, the group of vigilantes who despise Brits are now Jamie's best option. However, it's simply Joe who is there with Cleveland and his guys. "Send for the devil," Claire Riley remarks. The devil appears. For this outing, the little teasing of Brianna and William's sibling bond turns into a full-fledged feast. It's wonderful to have someone who experienced nearly the same parental circumstances as William. Isn't it crazy that this charade occurred twice? Give him insight into how a few years of recovery might ease the pain caused by Lord John's falsehoods. William is just beginning his quest to comprehend Jamie as his father, and Bree provides him with insightful information that will eventually prompt him to contact the Scotman. Additionally, this newly formed sibling pair provides a reassuring break from the action because they are the only two left out of the fighting in this episode. Hopefully, as the conflict brings the rebels and the British closer to one another, we will witness even more of William and Bree's charmingly childlike friendship. In a similar vein, Cunningham's hostile intent has made his rivalry with Jamie the highlight of the first half of this season. Sam Heughan is right in the center of his character's comfort zone as the cunning, delusional adversary bringing out the best in Jamie's performance. Jamie Fraser has never been more at ease, charging through the forest in a kilt with a pistol pulled at the hip and his legs exposed to the breeze. As he yells orders at his devoted renters, we are delighted that he has the upper hand and knows how to utilize it. The stakes are also very high because Cunningham has threatened to steal the ridge from Claire and Jamie's family and, should he succeed, take Jamie to the British to be hanged. The tense build-up to Jamie and Cunningham's showdown is both fantastic and agonizing. Knowing that combat is imminent is almost worse since Outlander is able to heighten the tension by putting us through a really dramatic Freemason meeting before transforming Fraser's Ridge into a full-fledged battlefield. It's exciting to watch this serene and charming location transformed into a frightening, almost dystopian-looking outpost. The rhythm of this episode is neither boring nor predictable. The polarizing triumphs of this action-packed confrontation are compounded by the fact that a set we've spent years getting to know suddenly becomes unrecognizable in the dark. Because it's so incredibly nice to watch Buck play hide-and-seek with the kids, one could argue that he's the best part of this violent adventure. In addition, he excels in saving the Frasers, which is a welcome departure from his parents' heritage. Nevertheless, it's hard to deny the appeal of Elspeth and Claire's strange bond. Claire has developed a bond with the mother of her husband's attempted murderer against her will. Unfortunately, the woman would benefit from having more female companions, and in Jamie's day, it's rare for women to help other women. Sensing this, Claire welcomes this strange conversation, and what follows is an intriguing verbal exchange between scenes of Jamie and Cunningham fighting. Over the years, Outlander has shown us a lot of things. However, both on the battlefield and, more impressively, between the loved ones left behind, this episode succeeds in breaking new ground. On Lodge Night, Captain Cunningham launches an assault on Jamie. The father of the twins Claire gave birth to, Mr. Whittaker, arrives to Fraser's Ridge at the beginning of Outlander Season 8, Episode 5, carrying a warning for Jamie. White soldiers approached him and the Cherokee while they were hunting in an effort to enlist them in Ferguson's Loyalist militia. The men said that Cunningham, not Jamie, would soon be in command of Fraser's Ridge. Whittaker took this to suggest that Jamie was about to be attacked. He's correct, of course. Jamie believes that shortly after their lodge meeting, Cunningham will launch an attack. He gathers as many men as he can, and Jamie flees into the woods while the men conclude their prayer in the church. The tenants who supported Cunningham are lured in by him and his crew, who then write down their names. They won't be harmed, but in the upcoming Outlander episodes, they will undoubtedly be expelled. At the trade station, Cunningham and Jamie engage in a confrontation that doesn't go well for either of them. Since his deceased son informed him that they would not see each other for another 7 years, 5 years from Outlander's present, Cunningham is certain that he cannot pass away. Cunningham didn't anticipate suffering a lifelong injury. The explanation of Cunningham's fate in Outlander Season 8, Episode 5. At first, Cunningham's sole intention was to apprehend Jamie and transport him to Ferguson for hanging. But as it becomes apparent that Jamie won't leave lightly, the two guys engage in a full-on struggle. Cunningham is extremely dangerous because he fights as if he believes he is unbeatable. He almost murders Jamie, and he would have if Buck hadn't arrived just in time to shoot Cunningham in the lower back. Claire admits that Cunningham may never walk again after Jamie and Buck bring him to her. She can extract the bullet, and his spine may heal along with the wound. It's evident, though, that Claire doesn't anticipate this result. It's unclear exactly what this will mean for Cunningham. Since his main adversary is crippled and the identities of his men have been made public, Jamie is only marginally safer on the ridge. Nevertheless, he is aware that Cunningham's is merely Ferguson's agent. There is still danger. Roger is reunited with Brianna after surviving the Savannah siege. Roger went to the Continental camp outside of Savannah in Outlander Season 8, Episode 4, to ask for supplies and guns for Fraser's Ridge. But as the rebel fighters got ready for war, he found himself unable to flee. This is the actual siege of Savannah, which happened in 1779. Roger is aware that the Continental Army's attempt to capture the city is bound to fail. Nevertheless, he feels compelled to be present in the midst of things in order to fulfill a greater mission. It's unknown if Roger's involvement in the conflict has more significant repercussions, but he undoubtedly saves at least one life. He returns to the battlefield to assist more after carrying a little drummer boy to safety and placing him in the hands of Rachel's brother, Denzel Hunter.